About why so many rappers die. Um, since it's the 50 years of hip hop, there's been a lot of different things being discussed about rap. And this one professor wrote an article about why so many rappers are dying. But really quickly, before we get into it, man, we are on Spotify, Apple, Google, iHeart. We're on all the podcast platforms. If you catch us on the day we drop, we do a live. We do a live video as well, but the video won't become viewable until 2 days after we drop the podcast on all the platforms. So if you're catching us live, you're catching the video live, but the video will be available 2 days after the podcast drops. If you're listening to us on Apple, please leave us some questions. Hey, I got a few questions that came in, but we probably hit some questions next week or the following week, but keep them questions coming. Hit us up on Instagram at street.and.scholars. And let's get right into this article, man, on why rappers die young. I wonder if this writer actually looked at other genres of music, and I haven't done the research, but I'm assuming that probably more rappers die than any other artist from any other genre. I don't really hear. We would hear about this, right, FG? If country musicians were getting shot and killed, and if heavy metal or rock and roll artists were getting shot and killed, we would hear about that, right?
No, no doubt. You know what I mean? But at the same time, Alex, you got to if you take the shot and kill part out the deaths from rappers and other artists, or other genres, you'll see that when it comes to drug overdose and things of that nature, then all those things are pretty much even. You know what I mean? Where we come to beat them out at is the gun violent deaths, the gun, the gun deaths. And more rappers are actually dying because it's just a lot more rappers, and rappers are, they like rock stars, they taking drugs, they partying, they on tour, they not getting enough sleep, they not getting enough rest, and then when it comes to the drug overdose, like I say, that's average in the music industry, period, and movie industry, period. But when you come to these street deaths, you know what I mean? It's a lot different, Alex, because, now you get into where dudes is actually out here, having successful careers, but still out here running and gunning. So, it's definitely a lot more murders in the rap industry. And if it was any other genre, they definitely would be taking it serious and trying to, do a better job at, reining it in. But at the same time, when it's us, they just gonna let it roll. You know how it go.
Yeah, I think back in the day there were more gatekeepers to this thing we call rap and hip hop, where you had to do a demo, you had to have somebody finance you, you had to send it in, you had to know someone that knew someone that knew someone, and it was hard to get into the game. But now, because of the internet, because of social media, because of all this equipment you could just buy in your apartment and cut a demo, there are way more rappers, and there are way more rappers from the streets. Like before, rappers rapped about the streets. Now
Right,
there's
right, right.
rappers are literally from the streets, because I don't think I never believed, but I don't know how the rest of the world believed, but I never believed Ice Cube was really out there gang banging. I never believed Dre was out there gang banging. Maybe some people thought that maybe Snoop Dogg had a little stint of gang banging, but I was never convinced. But these guys were the gangster rappers. Now we have rappers that are really from the streets, that are really involved in the streets, and I believe that's one of the reasons why the homicide rate is a little bit higher amongst rap artists.
No, no doubt. You're absolutely right. That was well spoken the way you put it. You know what I mean? But Alex, the world thought Ice Cube was, basically the leader of California gangs down there. Love Ice Cube to death, love his music. But when I actually found, it was crazy, because when I found out, and Ice Cube was doing an interview one time, man, he was like, man, I've never even been, arrested. You know what I mean? I never did no time, or, never did a 30-day, while some dudes looked at him like, oh, this dude is I commended that dude. You know what I mean? Like, cause that ain't, even though he was, putting what we wanted to hear, or the life that we was living out there on songs, man, you ain't always got to go through the bullshit, man, in order to, to be somebody. He definitely from LA, man. He definitely a staple, he definitely an icon, a legend, you know what I mean? And the West Coast Don. But like you say, these dudes nowadays are really in the trap. They really moving the bricks. They really popping a pistol. You know what I mean? If you'd even take a dude like, YNW Melly, you know what I mean? Successful dude, just was coming up, I believe millions of dollars was on the horizon for him. And now he's accused of, killing a couple friends. You know what I mean? So these dudes was really out there, putting that work in, but then going up in the studio making these raps, man. And that's where it changed. Run DMC and all them, man, they was gonna battle rap you, maybe have a scrap or two here and there, but this shit is way different now.
Oh yeah, man, it's way different. But one of the things that this article hit on, which I thought was also important, was the number of rappers that are dying from diabetes, cancer, and preventable health related issues. Let me just name a few off here because this list is long and extensive of artists that died when it was preventable, such as Big Pun, of course, he died from being overweight. We have rapper Black the Ripper, KMG the Illustrator, DMX, Big T, Tweety Bird Loke, Black Rob. They died of heart attack. Heavy D died of a health related issue back in the. He was only 44. Prince Marky D of the Fat
Right.
Boys, he died of heart failure. Craig Mack was 47 when he died of heart failure. Fife Dog from A Tribe Called Quest was 45. Biz Markie was 57, and he died from diabetes. So, although this article talked about the violence that has plagued hip hop, there's quite a lot of artists that are dying from preventable diseases, man. And it also Big Y. Big Y wasn't mentioned in this article, but Big Y, we just lost him from probably a preventable disease. I believe it was diabetes, man. So I think that was a interesting part of the article as well.
No, no doubt, man. And all those people you name, they definitely were health issues. Some of them, though, I could say the DMX is, you know what I mean, doing drugs for a long time, the poisonous lifestyle he lived, like somebody mentioned. You know what I mean? Yeah, all those things play a factor. But sometimes with these heart attacks, sometimes those could be drug related, but sometimes, man, it's just you got a history of these things. You got a history of diabetes. You got a history of, of heart attacks in your family, or congestive heart failure. You know what I mean? Some of these things are hereditary. Some of these things are from poisonous and bad choices in their lifestyle. Yeah, these dudes are dying young, but at the same time, I'm wondering how many of these deaths in that nature can be prevented. Once you get out there, man, like I say, they living like rock stars, man. These dudes ain't drinking water. They going on stage. I believe somebody just, I was on stage the other day and damn near passed out, fainted or something. This shit is happening because people not taking care of themselves, but it's also at the same time some of these designer drugs or some of these things they doing to stay up 24 hours and 3 days so they can do shows and not taking care of your health. Some of this shit is really just hereditary that you probably couldn't prevent if you wanted to. But like I say, it's definitely, if you look at the old school rappers, they died. But if you look at the new school rappers, they getting murdered, so it is a difference. It is a different culture change, and some of these young rappers not living long enough for us to see if they would, did have some kind of, kidney problems, liver problems, heart problems, because they get knocked off 20, 21, 23 years old. So, it's just unfortunate, man.
This is the author of this article is A.D. Carson. He's a professor. He's a professor of hip hop at the University of Virginia, and he recently dropped this article about rappers dying young. I'll put a link to this article in the show notes. I thought it was very eye opening, especially the health part of it, man, because I think the health part, a lot of this health stuff is preventable, and it would definitely reduce the death rate of rappers. But another interesting part of the article before we move on is that in terms of the ones that are murdered, it was interesting to read that the record sales of the artists that are murdered usually skyrocket to 4 and 5 times more than the rate that they were selling in the first place. So I don't know what that's all about. We're more interested in listening to dead or murdered artists' music rather than listening to them alive. And of course, I'm sure the headlines of them being killed makes us more aware of them. I had never heard of PNB Rock before, but I didn't go rush to go download his music either. But I'm sure a lot of people did that, and I guess that's part of the culture.
No, no doubt, you know what I mean? But it's also a part of the, the situation that people putting themselves in certain beefs for fame. You know what I mean? Like, it was coming up when if you wanted to be known, you know what I mean? You was gonna take a shot at Jay-Z, you was gonna take a shot at DMX, you was gonna take a shot at certain people just to get your name out there. Even if they murdered you, on the lyrics on the back end, you know what I mean? It was gonna get you known and people was gonna, so it's the same way. I had never heard of PNB Rock. It's a whole lot of rappers that I don't hear of until, you know what I mean? I actually hadn't heard of King Von, you know what I mean? But I did go back because of my son and listening to King Von music. And, I like some of it, you know what I mean? So in actuality, Leah, like you say, some of these dudes get knocked off. People go run and check out their music. That's in every genre. But at the same time, man, it's still a tragic thing. Dudes out here trying to get their bread, trying to, make some money for your family. Cause that's what it really was supposed to be about. A lot of these dudes, man, you trying to go out there and get the money. You know what I mean? A whole lot of these dudes, if it wasn't for the money, you wouldn't rap. If wasn't no money in it, it was just a hobby, you probably wouldn't even do it. So it's a way to get money. Everybody know entertainment is the way to get fast millions. So but at the same time, man, they getting themselves into situations or jealousy within they clique or crew or they homeboys or somebody they didn't got into. Most of the time, Alex, is jealousy, man. Somebody gonna come knock you down because you got what they don't have or you didn't look out like they felt you supposed to.
Hey man, I think there's too many of us brothers out here aspiring to be rap artists when we could be aspiring to do some other stuff. And we shouldn't chase that fast money because that fast money ain't always good money. It ain't long money. That fast money is mostly short money. But yeah, man, I'm disappointed. I meet a rapper almost every day, man, when I'm out here in these streets, man. And everyone wants to spit bars and everyone is trying to get on YouTube. And there's just too many other things that we could aspire to be, man. And I think a lot of us is caught in this trap, man, this rap trap. And even when it comes to sports, it's either entertaining or dribbling a basketball, man. And we a whole lot more talented and we're smarter than that. And I think the society has just told our people that that's all we good enough to do, man.
Well, at the end of the day, I look at it like this as well, though. You know what I mean? If you talented, if you can go out there and run up couple 100 million, like say John Morant, you know what I mean? Man, go out there, run that money up, man. So you can, that's a lifetime of money for you, your family, your grandkids. You know what I mean? Go out there and get it. You got to think, man. Our grandfather broke their back, Alex. You know what I mean? Plowing in fields and doing all kind of crazy jobs in order to keep a roof over our parents' head. Wasn't no glitz or no glamour to it. You know what I mean? They didn't have no hell of a life. They didn't ride Harleys and drive lowriders and shit. And they was strictly, man, just taking care of their family because that's all they could afford to do. So now you get a generation to where you can get out and go make millions upon millions. You know what I mean? My whole thing about it, and I know it's their money, they can do what the fuck they want to do with it, but at the same time, man, put some of this money to good use. Buy land, buy property, put your family in a certain situation, bro, and not all the floss and you know what I mean, and things of that nature, man. That's my whole thing about with them going to run out this money. Do some good with it. Not just showing somebody, if you got millions and millions of dollars, you wearing Gucci don't impress me. You know what I mean? We know you can buy that. We know you could afford that. Don't impress me because you got a Gucci backpack and you worth $100 million. That don't impress me. You know what I mean? So my whole thing is if maybe you do live a short life, but if you did and you went out there, man, and you put some money in a trust for your family, you put, 50 million, 10 million in a trust for your family and something was to happen to you, man, you made some good decisions with it. You know what I mean? You did something good for your people not to have to struggle as hard. So that's my whole thing about it. If dudes living a fast life and running up the millions, make some good decisions, man, so your family on the back end can be took care of.
And they only got 400 job applications in the NBA. There's only 400 seats
No doubt.
for what about I don't know, let's say thousands and thousands and thousands of kids across the country are trying to get those 400 seats.